It's the Health and Wellbeing Show, and we've got a very, very special guest on with us today. You're listening to Radio Ramadan at 87.7 FM. If you've got any questions, you can give us a call on the studio phone number, which is 0116 4822 or you can message us on our WhatsApp number, which is 077 488 55055. Today, we're going to be talking about a career in medicine. So if you've got any children or nieces or nephews or anybody who you know is looking for a career in medicine, give them a call, send them a message, ask them to listen into the show right away. We're on until about 7 o'clock. We'll be talking about admission to medicine at any of the universities really, but just a general discussion of how you become a doctor or a scientist or whatever it might be in the NHS, in the medical field. So it's a great opportunity. We've got the one of the admission people from Leicester University on the show with us. So if you've got any questions out there, please call up your nieces or nephews or your relatives who have anybody who's got an interest in doing medicine for a career. It's a great opportunity to ask some questions. I hope Ramzan is going well for you, everybody out there. We've only got a few days to go. I know I'm getting tired, and I know some of the people in the studio are getting tired. We're running out of steam, but it's only a couple more days to go. Eid is on the horizon. Eid gifts are getting ready. I know in my house we're getting our Eid gifts ready to send out to people, and hopefully somebody's out there remembering me as well, or remembering my family as well for the Eid presents. So everybody's looking forward to Eid. I know my children are, and big preparations are already underway for Eid in the next few days, hopefully, inshallah. So I'm sure everybody's doing really well out there. Unfortunately, I'm feeling a bit cold. The last couple of days, it's getting really cold, and especially when you're fasting, you feel a little bit colder. But hopefully, we've got some brighter sunshine coming up over the weekend. We've got a very special show for everybody this evening, and we're talking about education and a career in medicine. I'm really thankful to our guest today. We've got Dr. Sam Adcock with us today. So, Assalamu alaikum, Sam. Hope you're enjoying today.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. So happy Ramadan, everybody.
Thank you. Sam, before we start, can we have a little bit of background about you? You look as though you're from the Middle East, but you're not quite from the Middle East with your name.
Yeah, so I'm tanned at the moment because we've just got back from holiday, but I'm half English, half Arabic. So mother's Jordanian, dad's English. And I was born over in the Middle East, so born in Jordan, and then we lived out there for a while and moved to Oman, lived in Muscat. And then at the age of about 9, we moved to the UK, and I moved to Liverpool, which is very different to the Middle East. And then grew up there until I came to Leicester Medical School at the age of 18.
Age 18. So what made you go into medicine, and what do you do now as a career?
Yeah, good question. So why did I go into medicine? I think I was relatively good at passing exams at school. I was fairly academic, particularly in the sciences. But I was fairly sociable, fairly people-orientated. I didn't want to do a career that just involved looking down microscopes or being in the lab all day. So I wanted something that would challenge, would be interesting, would have security, but would also give me some job satisfaction. So my elder brother actually went into medicine, and just because I like to do things better than him, I thought, well, I'll get into medicine as well. But we were from a family with no other medics before that, so the two of us have become doctors, and so I thought I'd get one better.
That's strange. Yeah, that's strange, because not always, not always people go into medicine cold like that. There's normally some relative who's in medicine before. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the reasons why I'll come on to it later while I'm doing the job I'm doing. But medicine is the most inherited profession. So I think you're 24 times more likely to become a doctor if your parents are doctors. And wow. So, yeah, one of the things is to try and encourage more people into medicine, and not just because you know a doctor or you're related to a doctor, but actually because you've got all the skills to become a doctor. So, yeah, and then I came to Leicester.
So what do you do at Leicester University, and is that your full-time job? Are you doing?
No, so I split my time. So I 50% of the time I'm a GP. So I'm a GP over in Wigston, in Leicestershire, and so I've been a GP there since 2010. And as part of that, I'm a GP trainer, so I train other people to be GPs. But then 50% of my time is spent at Leicester Medical School. So I two main roles there. So one is as an admission tutor. So helping running the admissions, particularly for our medicine with foundation year. And then my other hat is I'm the head of the medicine with foundation year. So I'm the lead for that program, if you like.
Okay, yeah. So, and you're the lead for the foundation course at Leicester Medical School, which is part of Leicester University. It is the Leicester University School of Medicine, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's the Leicester Medical School at Leicester University. Yeah.
Yes, Leicester University. So, medicine as a career, it's really difficult for people to get in. What do they normally need to get into medicine at a university in the UK normally?
So normally, you're looking at, it is competitive. It's a very competitive career to go into. And looking at Leicester, say, as an example, for 290 places, we had over 3,000 applications this year. Wow. So it's competitive. And for most medical schools, you need good A-level results. And you're looking at least 3 A's. Some medical schools want a bit more than that, with a good set of GCSE results. So it's competitive, and that's the normal route in. But there are many other routes into medicine. Okay,
so 3 A's, good range of GCSEs is what you need for normal sort of university entrance on medicine.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah.
And what do the foundation course offer, and who's that available to?
Yeah, good. So the foundation course is, what it is, instead of it being a 5-year course, it's a 6-year course. So we spend what effectively is a year 0. But the admission for that is different. So rather than 3 A's, our standard offer is 3 B's.
Wow. So instead of taking 3 A's, you can actually do medicine for a doctor with 3 B's.
With 3 B's, yeah.
3 B's. What are their conditions for that?
So there's a few foundation years around the country. There's about 10 or 11 medical schools that run it. But for us, you need your 3 B's, and we would still want it in the same subject. So you normally need a couple of sciences and a third subject.
So it could be any 2 sciences. Is that what you're saying?
So at Leicester, we say biology or chemistry plus either physics, maths, psychology, biology, whatever. So one of those ones. So you need biology or chemistry. And so, again, medical schools are different. Some want biology, some want chemistry, some want biology and chemistry. So you do need to do your research for each medical school. So that's the standard. We do also accept other qualifications. So if you've got a BTEC, so we accept BTECs for it as well, which the standard medical courses don't tend to do. And then the other thing is you need to have what we call widening participation criteria. So the idea is that there are people who are very suited to medicine, who have all the attributes, they can communicate, they're empathetic, they've got the intelligence to do it. But if you've got some hardships, or you're going to a school where perhaps they underachieve, then actually 3 B's in a school where people don't get
3 B's.
3 B's is a very good result. And had you been in a very good school where everyone got A's, you would have got your A's. So we look at some criteria. So it can be things like not having parents who've been to university, living in a neighbourhood where people don't tend to go to university, having free school meals, those sort of things, being a refugee, being a looked after child, those sort of things.
So anybody from a social economic deprived background effectively would get a preference to go on those courses of some description.
Yeah, so if you meet those criteria and you've got the 3 B's and the right GCSEs, then you'd be eligible to apply for that course.
Or has nobody gone to university in their family, or there's not any medicine in there. So actually, it's sort of, you're trying to widen out.
Yeah, so the idea is really that because medicine historically tends to attract people from middle-class backgrounds, people who know medics, who are children of medics, that it doesn't necessarily represent the population. And what we want medicine to do is we want the doctors to represent the people they're looking after.
Gotcha, yeah.
And otherwise we make decisions that don't represent the communities. And actually, if you never see doctors that look like you, sound like you, behave like you, then it can alter what's going on. So it's trying to widen the pool of who we take, which will strengthen the medical profession.
Excellent. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on 87.7 FM. If you've got any questions, the studio line is now open. Our telephone number is 0116 4822 or you can send us a WhatsApp message on 077 488 55055. We're talking to Dr. Sam Adcock, who's from the Leicester University School of Medicine. Sam, what are medical schools actually looking for?
Yeah, good question. So, because we're governed by the sort of NHS as well, we recruit to the NHS values. So, things like treating everyone equally, treating people with respect. If you look at the NHS website, it's out there. So that's what we have to recruit people to. So we want to find people with those qualities, that you treat people with respect, you can communicate, you're able to look after people in a caring way. But on top of that, we need people who academically are going to be able to get through. It's a tough course, it's challenging, and it's a tough job at the end of it. Yeah. And so it's that combination of the right personality, the right qualities that we would all want in a doctor when we see them, but combined with that academic ability to absorb and problem solve and do what we want.
Do what you want. And how do you select?
So we get lots of applications. There's a huge number to go
through.
So
out of how many places, how many applications do you get? Just repeat that.
So for the Leicester, for the main course, we've got 290 places, and we have about over 3,000 applications. For the foundation,
to get in is literally like winning a lottery, isn't it, for most people?
So the numbers can lie a little bit. So I think. Again, for the foundation year, we have about 700 applications for 35 places. So on paper, it sounds terrible. But there are people who apply in those numbers that actually don't meet the criteria. So sometimes statistics can look a little bit worse than
So how do you select those 35 then?
So the other thing you need for most medical schools in the country is an aptitude test. So the main one is UCAT.
Yep.
But there is others. There's BMAT and a few of the others, and so we screen usually based on the performance in the UCAT and the performance in either their GCSEs or their A levels. So then you'll interview.
Yeah. So GCSEs do count.
They do count. Yeah, they do count. So, and every medical school works slightly differently because we all think we've got it right, and so. Some will put a lot more emphasis on the UCAT. Some will put a lot more emphasis on GCSEs. Some will do... So we do 50-50 at Leicester. But they do count. But that's where the foundation year comes in, because we're asking for a lower level in GCSEs than we are for the main course.
And so that's one part of the way you select. What are the other parts of the way you actually look at selections to get to the final few?
So we would select people then for interview, and then at the interview, that's at Leicester and at most places, you would base your offer on the performance at interview, and that's where you're looking for the qualities that you can't assess on paper. So can you communicate? Can you relate to people? Are you non-judgmental? Can you absorb? Can you listen? Can you observe? Those sorts of things.
Yeah, we've got a message coming in. Is this initiative a response to impending skills shortage within healthcare, for example, not enough GPs being trained and Brexit? Is it a result of that, or has
So this has been going on for a while. So Southampton, I think, were the first ones to sort of take this on, and they created their foundation year. But it was a realization that, and this is from the GMC and the BMA, that the medicine just wasn't representative of the population.
So they're actually doing an outreach almost, and that's actually why you're probably on the show, because you want those people from the inner cities who haven't got medicine as a career in their mind to think, okay, with 2-3 Bs we can get in.
So we want to challenge that acceptance that people just go, well, medicine is only the straight A student from a posh background. That's simply not true. And that's what we're trying to challenge, that actually if we stop looking for people in that pool, then you can encourage other people who might think, medicine, I've got 3 Bs, medicine's not for me, but actually they'll make a damn good doctor. Sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I know. And what do the interviews consist of? And, lots of people out there probably haven't been to an interview. Okay. You're 18 years old, you've just passed your A-levels, or you're doing your A-levels, you've never been to an interview, you would struggle.
Yeah, so the interviews are very different. So historically, there used to be a panel. You'd have 4 or 5 consultants asking you questions. Now what we do is something called MMIs, or mini multiple interviews. So essentially you have a rotation of stations lasting 7-8 minutes where we ask you to do a different task. And then the idea is they're much fairer, because rather than...
Less stressful.
I don't know about less stressful. Okay. I think it depends on your personality, but I think rather than you having one shot, so if one interview goes badly, actually you've got essentially 7 or 8 little interviews, which gives us a better view, and you have 7 or 8 people looking at different things. So it tries to get rid of some of the bias that can happen elsewhere. But so we might ask you to chat to a patient, solve a problem, read an article, answer some questions, so that it's very varied.
And why the foundation year medicine?
So where did it come from?
Yeah.
So I think it's because it's so difficult to get into medicine that I think if something wasn't done, then the hurdles were unsurmountable for too many people. And I think what it does is actually I think it enriches the medical school, because we now have a body of students that is much more diverse. And they learn from each other. And
have you seen that change when you've done the admissions yourself?
Yeah, so we if we look at our statistics and our widening participation, so we look at where our students come from, what their backgrounds are, and you can see over the last 5 years, actually, the number of students from different backgrounds has gone up. So in terms of what we class as our widening participation, actually it makes up 30-40% of our population at Leicester Medical School, which is great.
If you've got any questions, you can call in the studio number, which is 0116 4822 or you can send us a WhatsApp message, which is 077 488 55055. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on 87.7 FM. Now, why do people fail to get in? Why do they fail to get in medicine?
So I think sometimes people fail because it probably isn't the right career for them. So I think people encourage them because family members want it, or they think it's a good career to go in, which it is. But actually, it just doesn't suit their skill base, and they probably should be encouraged to go for other things. But I think some people don't get in because the system is very complex. You have to understand about aptitude tests. You have to understand that every medical school asks for different grades, different subjects. You need to know what an MMI is. You need to know how to prepare for it. It's complex. And I think if you don't have someone who knows the system, understands the system, you probably are less prepared. So researching, reading medical school websites, because we publish what we want from you. We give you a lot of advice, but I don't think people know where to look. But actually getting people to give you feedback, getting people to practice interview techniques with you. There's a wealth of information online in terms of work experience and other things that can
and if anybody is interested in trying to get some experience on interviews or work experience, they're welcome to contact me, because we've got a different we had Richard Mitchell, the chief executive of Leicester Hospitals, on a couple of weeks ago, and he was happy to take people in for work experience. So by all means, do contact me. My name is Zuffar, and my telephone number, and I'll repeat it again later on in the show as well, 0781 710 7022. I'll repeat my number again, 0781 710 7022. We want to try and get more people into medicine, more people from those deprived backgrounds who haven't got medicine normally as their first idea of career, because they don't think they're going to get the grades. But there's an opportunity here for that to happen. And are you able to fill all the places, Sam, every year, or do you struggle sometimes?
Good question. So on the regular course, absolutely, we fill the places. On the foundation year, actually, we have been in clearing a few times. So
wow. So you don't fill the places.
No, not always.
That's amazing, really. When I think about it, I just think of so many people who've probably got 3Bs out there who've just never applied, probably never thought that they could do medicine.
Yeah. And
some of them might be heartbroken.
Yeah, absolutely. So the statistics lie a little bit. There can be a lot of people applying for it, but that doesn't mean they meet the criteria. So if you meet the criteria, you think you've got the right personality, it's a career for you, and you give it a shot. So
advice. If somebody's out there whose father might be a taxi driver or might be working in a shop, mum's in an overlock machinist or whatever it might be, that's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that would meet one of our criteria. Your parents haven't been to uni. So all you need to do is meet one of the criteria, have your 3Bs.
And you've got a place.
Well, not that you've got a place.
But you've got a good chance to get a place.
You a better chance to get an interview. And then if you're the right personality for the job, then you should hopefully get an offer.
You should hopefully get it. That's excellent. And I just mentioned work experience. What are the routes into medicine, and what can you do to improve your chances to get onto medical school?
So I think understanding what a career in medicine is about. So there's lots online, and particularly with COVID, with the pandemic, when work experience was virtually impossible to get, actually things like the Royal College of GPs, I think Brighton and Sussex Medical School had online work experience, and lots of information online about what a career involves. So you do need to research it. Don't just fall into a career. What does medicine involve? What skills does it happen? How does a career progress? But speak to people if you want, but a lot of the skills we're looking for are generic. So we want to know, can you speak to people? Are you a team player? Can you deal with stressful situations? Do you like being around sick people? So actually get some work experience in a nursing home, get some work experience in a pharmacy. There's lots of other places other than GP surgeries and hospitals.
But we've got a very good chief exec, and he actually put that out for a live on air to say that anybody who's interested in medicine can get a work experience place at Leicester's hospitals, and he's happy to facilitate that. If anybody's interested in doing that, they can contact me and I can put them in touch with the right people. Brilliant. My telephone number is 0781 710 7022, and you can contact me, send me a message, and by all means we're happy to help with that. We also have another colleague who works in the NHS called Gillian Adams, who's quite happy in trying to help people and mentor people in how to do their interview skills. That's an area of special expertise, and she's also willing to help. And if you want to me to facilitate a contact with her, please don't hesitate to contact me as well. I've also got a statement from Gillian, actually. I'm going to read it out because it's really important to help our listeners understand. The message is, important for listeners to remember there are many careers in the NHS other than nursing and doctors. For listeners who are passionate about science or technology and helping others, a career in healthcare science offers a wide range of opportunities for working in laboratories, through to direct patient diagnosis and treatment. For an example, like audiologists, hearing specialists, over 50 different healthcare science roles, and over 50,000 healthcare scientists working across the NHS. For more information, you can look on the website, which is AHCS. We'll try and get that up on our Facebook page, or Google healthcare careers. And if anybody is interested, I've got Gillian's email address and I've got her contact details, so you're more than welcome to contact me and I can pass you those on. My number again is 0781 710 7022. My name is Zuffar, and it's really important that there's lots of other jobs out there. It's not just about doctors and nurses.
Absolutely. So there's speech and language therapists, there's physios, there's audiologists, there's optometrists. There's so many different things that actually share a lot of the skills, but you might find that it suits what you want in a job better, it suits your qualifications better. And so I think do your research. And actually one of the things I'd want to know if you're applying for medicine is, why have you not applied to be a physio or a nurse? Why have you chosen medicine rather than the others? And you should have an answer for that, really. So you should know enough about the career and what it is that you're looking for that
wants you to do that particular job. Absolutely. Instead of the sciences. Yeah. Okay. And realistically, this is, I always used to think and I don't anymore now, that nobody cares about people out there. Nobody cares about the inner cities. Nobody cares about those children from those deprived backgrounds, because education is a route out for them, isn't it? Huge route out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's lots going on. Hopefully there'll be more and more going on, but actually...
And it's great to see. It really is great to see.
But there's things around, like, for instance, Leicester University runs something called Access Medicine, which is a programme aimed at year 11, year 12, which they're interested in a career in medicine, and then actually they'll give them interview practice. They'll give them education about what a medicine career involves, and actually if people do that, they stick with the program. Actually, it gives them an increased chance of having an interview at Leicester. And so there's things like that around. And actually, again, we've just won £30,000 from the Department of Health to run a mentoring program in Leicester to try and encourage local students to go into medicine. There is money out there. There are things going on. We want these students, but it's really getting the message to those students and to everyone around, to teachers and everyone, that actually don't just look for the straight A student. Look for the right type of student, the right type of character. Yeah.
So if you're listening out there and you've listened to what Sam's saying, the doors are open for medicine. The doors are open for lots of different science vacancies out there and careers out there, really. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on 87.7 FM. Our telephone number is 0116 4822 or you can send us a message on 077 488 55055. Sam, it's great to hear so many opportunities out there. And, if the listeners are listening, and anybody who's listening out there, they've got a relative or somebody who they know who's interested in medicine, hasn't got the grades, how do they find Leicester Medical School? Do they just look online?
Yep, so there's a great website there. It's got all our admission, what's available. But actually, there's email addresses, and I would encourage people to email in and ask advice. The admission tutors are there, but there's a huge team behind them that can answer questions. So if people aren't sure, they want advice, email in. We will reply and we will give advice. And it's a resource there. And it won't just be Leicester Medical School. All medical schools are generally nice and kind and would give that advice.
Excellent, thank you very much. We've got a message coming in from Sarah, and she's asking. She's got 3 A levels. She's struggling to get a place in university to doing medicine. She's got 2 A's and an A star. So and she is from a sort of social economic family, and she's struggling to get a place in any university.
So again, there's lots of variables. It depends on the UCAT score. So sometimes you need to look at the whole of a sort of application. Sometimes it's their academia, sometimes it's their aptitude test, but sometimes it's their performance at interview. And then that's where getting advice, getting practice can help. But I think one of the hints and tips is making sure you apply to the med schools that work to your strength. So one of the places I would suggest people look if they're thinking about medicine is there's something called the Medical School Council. And on that website, it will list every medical school and every qualification they look for and how they select.
Okay, yeah.
So if you've got a really good aptitude test and you've got average A levels, then go for the medical schools that pick the people with aptitude tests.
Okay.
If you've got really good A levels and your aptitude test is all right, then go for the ones. And so you
pick and choose.
You need to pick and choose.
Target
and play the game a little bit. Yeah.
Target your application accordingly.
And then for some people, actually, it may be that medicine's just not the career for them and that they need to think. But actually, for some people, doing another degree first and coming in as a graduate to medicine suits them. So I do say to people, just because one door shuts at A level doesn't mean the door's shut on medicine. And there's transfer routes, there's graduate routes, there's other routes into medicine. Lots of people who don't get the grades then end up in sort of some of the Eastern European countries doing medicine over there, and then do they have to do a conversion course? And how difficult is that? And is that because there just simply isn't places available in the UK? There's not enough places available for the people that want them. And I think in a perfect world, we train a lot more medics, but I think it's very expensive to train a doctor, and it's the capacity within the system. So we could take 500 medical students, but actually you need to have 500 places to train them.
Yeah.
And the consultants, the GPs that do all these training, all the other allied health professionals, there isn't the place for them. So I think people go abroad because there's the demand outstrips the supply. But sometimes some of the best doctors I know actually did another degree first and then came into medicine, but then more mature, and brought those skills in.
There is a sort of element of the reality on the ground on these kind of things, because people from those backgrounds can't afford to do another degree. They just don't have the resources, or their parents don't have the resources, and it automatically limits the opportunity for them. And I suppose that's the reason why you're doing this course, isn't it?
Yeah. So and again, at Leicester we offer there is a scholarship that comes with this. We recognise it's an extra year, but actually there's a very generous scholarship that comes along with it to compensate for that, because we realise that having another year at university is much more expensive than when I went to university. And actually we try and help all that in.
But it's cheaper than doing another course completely and then switching over to.
So there is transfer routes, but it is a difficult route in. So some people do a year of, say, biomedical sciences and then transfer into medicine. And that is a route in, but it's competitive. And you need to meet quite stringent criteria to do that.
And how do we research a career in medicine? What is the way you can actually research the route?
Yeah, so I guess getting work experience, speaking to doctors or nurses or people if you want to. There's lots online, as I say. So certain places like the Royal College of GPs is good. The Medical School Council, there's a lot on there. And then there's lots of organisations. One of the organisations I am involved with is something called the WPMN. So it's the Widening Participation Medics Network. And so that charity, the whole purpose is to help and equip people from widening participation backgrounds into medicine. So looking at their website, they can help you network and give you that.
What's the website again?
So they're called the it's WPMN.
WPMN.
And it's Widening Participation Medics Network.
Okay. So, they will help support people. And that's, I think people are struggling enough as it is without doing a course to get onto another course.
Absolutely. And that's run by medics and students from WP backgrounds.
Right, okay.
So they get you, they understand, they know what is needed. It's helpful.
Great. Okay. And what makes you do this kind of work? Because you could easily go and do the job in the hospital, or do 3 days in the hospital as well, instead of doing the university bit.
Yeah, I think I really love medicine, and I think it's a real privilege to be a doctor. I think it's opened so many doors for me, but I realised that actually I got into medicine by hard work, but actually partly by luck. I think if I look at the other people in my school in Liverpool, it wasn't really encouraged. No one at school knew how to advise me to get into medicine.
And were there any role models? Were there actually any role models?
Apart from my brother, but I wouldn't tell him that. No, not really. No. And so I got in, but it was partly luck and partly by chance, whereas actually I look around and think there was other people in my year who would have made very good doctors.
And they're just going to get the opportunity.
No. And so it's me giving back a little bit, I guess.
You're listening to Radio Ramadan on 87.7 FM. If you've got any questions, you can call the studio. Telephone number is 0116 4822 or you can send us a WhatsApp message on 077 488 55055. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on 87.7 FM. There was a couple of points where, if you need any work experience or you need any help with interviews, please, by all means, you can contact me directly. My name is Zuffar, and my telephone number is 0781 710 7022. And we've got Dr. Sam Adcock in the studio from Leicester University Medical School, who's got lots of places, or a few places, I would say, available for students who get 3 Bs in A-levels instead of 3 As and can get onto a foundation course and become doctors. How many people have you seen through those through the years that you've been there?
So good. So we're in our 5th year now of running the course. So the first lot who we accepted are now in their 4th year. They're doing really well, and actually,
It means it works, doesn't it?
It works, yeah. So I can't wait till next year when our first lot graduate, because then I can actually say to everyone, look, it really works.
Special moment. Special moment.
But actually, if you look at their performance, some of them, they're doing really well, but some of them are excelling, and actually some of them are getting top of their years despite them having less A-levels than they're capable.
You know, I'll reiterate this point again. You can do a course and become a doctor with 3 Bs at A-levels, and people are doing that, and they're going to graduate next year. What a fantastic moment it's going to be.
And they're not just doing it, they're excelling.
They're excelling in it.
They're excelling at it.
They're excelling. Does that surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me.
Probably surprises others.
But I think it does. There are some people in medicine that it does surprise, and I think things are changing as culture changes and people's awareness changes. But I think it will be good to prove those doubters wrong, and I think hopefully some of my foundation students will end up being the leaders of the
NHS.
Of the NHS, absolutely. Yeah. And we'll make decisions hopefully then that have the population in mind and understand the whole spectrum of the...
Because unless you come from that deprived background or the reality of being in the streets, I mean, born in the inner city and know what it's like to try and you know, put a meal on the table for a family, you know, your parents doing that for you, and lots of those are the sort of causes that happen. You're not going to know how to deal with them, are you? Really?
No, and I think
you can't put yourself in their place, can you? You can't.
No, and it's part of that empathy, but it means that when we're round the table, when the doctors are discussing things, people can challenge those misconceptions, those prejudices that exist.
And that's happened over the last couple of years, especially with COVID, hasn't it? Because lots of people didn't really understand what COVID is about, and that's part of the...
Yeah, and I think, again, when you looked at... There was a lot of reluctance with vaccinations, but actually it was the doctors that understood that reluctance, that knew what was going on in those communities, that were able to convince people to have those vaccines, if that makes sense.
Exactly, yeah. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on 87.7 FM. We're joined today in the studio with Dr. Sam Adcock from Leicester University Medical School. Great to have you here. You know, you've touched on lots of different issues. And for you, you know, that moment next year, how many students have you got that will be qualified doctors? And will they be having a doctor in front of their name straight away?
Straight away. So the year, it's built as years have gone on. So that first cohort only had 15 students in it. And then we've gone 20, 25, 30.
So you didn't actually fill the places, did you?
No. So
wow, that's sad, really.
The first 3 years we didn't fill the places.
Yeah.
We've now filled the places. And last year, ever so slightly over-recruited, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That was good. But yeah.
And is the scheme set to expand at all or not? Is that on the horizon, or if it starts filling up quite quickly, is that going to happen?
Good question. So I think the effectiveness and the idea of these foundation courses is spreading. So more medical schools will hopefully start doing them, and I know that as there is discussions around increasing the student numbers, and in the last increase with medical student numbers, they were tied in with WP. So if you could show that you were going to give more of those places to those
from that deprived background,
you got more places to train.
You got more places to train.
So hopefully, if there is another expansion, the work we're doing at Leicester and the other medical schools, Nottingham, Southampton, that have them, Lancaster, then actually, hopefully, they'll get more places, which will mean there's more.
So if you are from a deprived background and you've just done you're sitting your A-levels, you come out and you get 2 Bs and a C or something like that, would it be better to go back and do another year of A-levels, or would it be better to go and do another course, or would it be better to actually apply for the foundation course? What would you do in those shoes?
So again, look around. So I think Nottingham accept 2 Bs and a C for the
foundation course.
So it's looking at making sure that you don't meet the criteria. At Leicester, we will take you with 1 resit. So if you went back for a year, did that C again and got it up to a B or an A, we would accept you. It delays it by another year, but actually if it's what you really want, where's your heart, it's up to you to make that sort of decision. But for some people, actually, I know it may be that doing 3 years in something else is sensible, and then going on a graduate course, which is 4 years.
But you wouldn't be able to afford it if you're from that background.
So you get an NHS bursary.
Yeah.
So that does come along. But I guess a foundation year course is 6 years. If you do 3 and then a graduate medicine, that's 7. So it's swings and I guess it is difficult at the time. There is bursaries available, but if you are successful in that route, then you hopefully will go into a profession where you will be able to pay that back.
Yeah. And how good a career is it to be a doctor? Lots of people out there don't know really what doctors can earn as a GP, because if you've not got anybody in the family, or you don't know anybody, what is the sort of salary scales for a doctor? These people who are coming out of going to be doctors next year, what would they sort of think they'll be earning in the first year, and then in about 5 or 6 years' time?
So as a junior doctor, when you first come out, it's not huge, but it goes quite steeply, and as your experience and your ability.
So year one, what are you looking at? Year two?
I think it's 20-something.
In the 20s.
Yeah.
And then in 5 years' time, what will they be looking at?
So if you then became a GP, say you're working 4 days a week, you might be looking at 70 to 80,000.
Yeah, and if you end up in the hospital and consultant in 10 years' time, what
so I think consultants start at about 80,000. Just below maybe.
Yeah, and they go up to 100
and
plus.
And that's full time.
Yeah, that's full time.
But the beauty of medicine, and one of the strengths is you might not want to work full time, because by the time you've got to finishing your exams, you've qualified, you might be having children, you might want to work part time, be with the children. You might just think, actually, I want to do some hobbies. There's lots of opportunities out there.
And the flexibility is there with the NHS. It's just a job almost for life, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's more flexibilities in some specialties. So things like GP is very flexible. And other careers, other bits of medicine are less flexible. So again, but the medicine it's almost like hundreds and hundreds of jobs within one umbrella. So there's obs and gynae, there's dermatology, there's surgery, there's medicine, there's GP, there's
lots of variety, isn't
there?
So
much variety.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it. I've done normal GP. I've been a prison GP. I'm a GP trainer. I now work at the medical school. So within my
you've done quite
years of qualifying, I've had a few different hats.
Yeah. And actually, culturally, generally, doctors are well respected.
Mostly,
yeah.
I think within the NHS, you probably get more abuse now than there was before. People understandably can get a bit disgruntled, but as a rule, people do respect you, and that's good. But that's what gives you the ability to make a difference, that people will listen to me, they come to me for my opinion, and on the whole they take it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we're just going to go, we're running out of time very shortly, so we're going to go to the websites. You mentioned WPNMN, which is the sort of organisation that helps people from deprived backgrounds go into medicine effectively. There was another one you mentioned, Leicester University.
So they run something called Access Medicine.
Medicine.
If people are from Leicester and they're thinking of medicine and they're in year 9, year 10, year 11, have a look at that.
We've got it on our Facebook page now. It's going great. Yes.
So excellent. This is a great website, and it's got lots of
WPMN. Okay.
There's lots of blogs. There's lots of information. There's videos, but there's mentors on there, and that's really good for getting advice. But Access Medicine, again, it's run by Leicester, and that will give you priority if you apply to Leicester.
Sam, it's absolutely fantastic to have you on the show. Really, really appreciate you coming on. I just want to say thank you, because people like you do make a difference, and you're very passionate about what you do. You're helping those people from those deprived areas, getting on those places. It must make you feel great. It's a great job to have, really, in lots of senses. Yeah, no,
it is a good job. And I think there's two sides. So you make some people's dreams, and one of the horrible things is you break some people's dreams. So we can't take everybody, but I think when I look at the foundation year, I think actually this is a group of students that wouldn't have gotten otherwise, but they're great. and they're going to make great doctors. And it is good job satisfaction. I enjoy it. It's hard work, but I do like it.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us on the show today. Dr. Sam Adcock from Leicester University Medical School. And it's going to be a real buzz moment for you next year when you have all your students becoming GPs or becoming doctors and filing out. Fantastic. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on 87.7 FM. I was your host, Zuffar. So please join us again and enjoy the rest of Ramadan and Eid Mubarak.